Invented during the height of the cocktail revival, this, I think, the most misunderstood cocktail in the UK, deserves a place amongst the venerated classics. However, the name, the presentation, and the seductively named passion fruit have caused this cocktail to be relegated to the realm of crap pub cocktails, which has further perpetuated the bastardization of the original recipe that has all but disappeared from the spec sheets of bartenders all over the UK, turning this cocktail into a shadow of its former self. But I'm here to give this cocktail the respect that it deserves, using the vastly superior original recipe that, surprisingly, is far easier than the convoluted mess of a recipe that we've ended up with today. This cocktail falls into the category of cocktails made during the revival that, 1, have misleadingly appropriated the name Martini in order to cater to the lowest common denominator who will hear that buzzword and think, "Oh, that sounds fancy. I want to be fancy." And 2, all use vodka as a base spirit in order to add as little flavour as possible in order to offend as few people as possible. So, you've got your alcoholic sugar drink. Why not put it in a stemmed glass, erroneously slap on the name of a far superior product, bolt on a provocative word as a prefix, and hey presto, you've got an award-winning concoction and you've made £1 million.
Come to join me crew, lad, welcome aboard.
You really can't deny the genius of it. Created in London in 2003 by a bartender by the name of Douglas Ankara, this cocktail maximises the perceived grandeur with a sidecar of champagne so the customer feels as if they're getting 2 cocktails in one. For a cocktail he claims was invented in only 15 minutes, everything about this is just a stroke of marketing genius.
It's almost frightening.
You've got faux sophistication contrasted with a rebellious name and a flavour profile so unchallenging and inoffensive that somehow leaves the imbiber still feeling suave and sexy. This cocktail is simple, really simple, but clever, and yet every bar I've been to makes it wrong for absolutely no reason. There seems to be some kind of feedback loop in the UK bar scene that almost all bar owners are susceptible to. These bar owners, like their clientele, want to be perceived as glamorous and sophisticated without having to put in any of the effort. And so they just make the Pornstar Martini cocktail the way they once heard it was made or the way they were taught to in a pub when they were 18, instead of doing any actual meaningful research. Nowadays it's made with the addition of pineapple juice, lime juice, simple syrup, the wrong vodka. It's turned into a complete free-for-all. So, setting the record straight, allow me to introduce the original and vastly superior Pornstar Martini, invented by Douglas Ankara in 2003. You've all ordered one, you've all seen one being made at a pub or bar at some point, I am sure, so you know that this is going to be shaken. The very first thing we are going to need, and is absolutely crucial for the Pornstar Martini to come out the way that Mr. Ankara intended it, is some good vanilla vodka. The vanilla vodka we are going to use is Absolut Vanilla. The variations between different kinds of vodka are really, really small, unless of course they have flavorings, but with the strong passion fruit flavors we're putting in here, the type of vanilla vodka you use is not going to be hugely important, just as long as you make the effort to use vanilla flavored vodka. I'm not really a big vodka drinker anyway. I'm firmly of the belief that there's no cocktail that uses vodka as a base spirit that could not be substituted for another spirit and be vastly superior. However, despite the fact this cocktail was made in the UK, where we tend to use millilitres instead of ounces or parts for a cocktail, this original recipe does use ounces or parts. So we're going to go for 1.5 ounces of vanilla vodka. We are then going to use half an ounce of some passion fruit liqueur. I am using a dusty old bottle of Passoa that I found in the back of a cupboard. I think companies like Briotet and Giffard make some very nice passion fruit liqueur. However, I'm using Passoa as that is the liqueur that Douglas Ankara first used to make the cocktail in 2003. We are going to need half an ounce. We are going to need 2 ounces of passion fruit puree. This is passion fruit puree from the brand Funkin, which makes fruit purees for the UK cocktail market. However, you can quite easily make your own at home, and a few places I've worked actually just resort to scooping out whole passion fruits into the cocktail shaker. But to do this properly, get some good quality passion fruit puree and put 2 ounces of it into the shaker. Now the last ingredient that goes into the shaker is 2 bar spoons of vanilla sugar. Usually for a cocktail like this, you would use simple syrups, as granulated sugar will not like to dissolve in the cold. However, as this sugar has been in a blender, it's very fine, so it should dissolve easier. I'm just going to give it a little stir in the tin just to make sure it gets dissolved before shaking. I've filled my large shaking tin with ice, and before we shake, you want to make sure your glass is ready to pour into so you're not faffing around as the cocktail goes flat in the shaker. We're going to use this lovely crystal coupe that I found in a charity shop. We're going to add our cocktail to the ice and we are going to shake. Want to shake it nice and hard because we want that passion fruit puree to froth up quite nicely, which is why you see a lot of bars adding pineapple juice or even egg whites or foaming bitters to their Pornstar Martinis, because they're physically not shaking it hard enough to get the foam they expect to see. But just to be sure, we are now going to roll this just to get a little bit extra air. Double strain this into our coupe. And the classic garnish for a Pornstar Martini is a passion fruit that is halved. Float that on top. I'm going to give the customer a spoon so they can scoop that out at their leisure. And the most crucial element, you want to take a shot glass or something of a similar size. I'm using this little, what is that, sherry glass? Just because it looks fancy. The original recipe calls for champagne, however, I don't think anyone's actually using champagne. Just use Prosecco. It genuinely will not impact the overall quality of the customer's experience. Not bothering with a whole bottle because that would be a bit pointless. So we take your sparkling wine of choice, really, just so it's kind of dry, and you want to give the customer about 50 to 100 mils of sparkling wine. And there we have a beautiful, classic Pornstar Martini.
And that was without even a single drop of rum.
I mean, truthfully, it looks absolutely beautiful. This is just one of those cocktails that, as long as you make it mostly right and just present it in the right way, it's always going to look absolutely fantastic. Douglas Ankara, when he came up with this, presentation was a huge part of it, and he knocked it out the park. I mean, I could just kind of stare at this thing all day. I mean, it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous drink. All right, I've not had one of these, the classic Pornstar Martini, in quite a while, so let's give it a try. Cheers. Man. That's just brilliant. I mean, it's like, passion fruit is very tart. It can be a very strong and quite aggressive flavor, but the use of the vanilla vodka just mellows that out hugely, and that beautiful, beautiful vanilla sugar just kind of further rounds off all of those sharp edges. I mean, you can tell there's alcohol in there, just a little bit, but it's invisible. It's vodka. The point of it, the reason you use it is for the alcohol to just disappear. Oh, God, that's good. Right, let's contrast that with a sip of our sparkling wine. The reason I love that combo is because the Pornstar Martini is sweet. We've obviously got the sugar in there, we've got the Passoa, which obviously further adds to those heavy passion fruit flavors. And it's very sweet and it's very unctuous, but what the sparkling wine does, and it needs to be a dry one, it cuts through all of those sweet notes and completely refreshes your palate. It sort of jolts you back. And the vanilla is such on the back end, it does kind of disappear despite the huge quantity of vanilla we have in here with the vodka and the sugar. It's working as a sort of catalyst to round out a lot of the potentially harsh flavors. This doesn't taste anything like any other Pornstar Martini that I've ever tried at a bar. Not that I go out ordering them, this isn't particularly my taste, but I've tried them and I've been told to make them a certain way at bars before, and this is just so vastly superior. I absolutely don't get any justification for not making it this way. This is actually a really, really nice cocktail. I hate the name Pornstar Martini, and I think that's why, and I think that and the little sidecar of sparkling wine is why it's sort of become just associated with a very sort of unsophisticated type of clientele. But I loved it. I think this is a fantastic experience. So there we have the original, the superior Pornstar Martini. Douglas Ankara, I know I was disparaging of your creation at the beginning of this video, but trying this original version has entirely brought me around. If more bars served it this way, I may even find myself ordering one. This is brilliant, I love this, and I'm finding it very hard to just not knock the whole thing back in one go at the moment. I have enormous amounts of respect for the thought that went into the creation of this cocktail, but I don't have respect for the unscrupulous bar owners all over the UK that insist on bastardizing this already incredibly simple idea. So there we go, I hope you enjoyed this video every bit as much as I enjoyed making it. I love making these videos, it's an enormous pleasure for me, and I hope you join me in the next one. Cheers.